I'm Amanda Baird, Director of the Soul of Yoga Sound Institute. One of our instructors, Christine Stevens, and her friends Gloria Taylor and Erin Gannon conducted an impromptu study during the height of the COVID pandemic on the healing effects of sound. The study was published by the International Association of Music and Medicine in their April 2024 edition. I had an opportunity to chat with Christine and Gloria recently about their study. Participants in the study included patients with active COVID cases, patients with long-term COVID, patients who had experienced a reaction to the vaccine, patients who had lost someone to COVID, and healthcare workers experiencing burnout. Over a one-year period, Christine, Gloria, and Erin provided sessions to over 170 people using a collection of instruments that included drums, Native American flutes, koshi chimes, monocorns, crystal singing bowls, vocal toning, guitar, kalimbas. Generally, the patients and healthcare workers reported that they felt calmer, less overwhelmed, more centered, and more peaceful. Many also reported an increased ability to make decisions, feelings of peace, relaxation, and renewal from burnout, a greater sense of groundedness and hope, along with reduced pain and stress.
Is also learning what instruments work.
Yeah.
You know, what translates online and what creates that healing component of breath. I mean, it was a pulmonary disease. Even grief is a breath. Often people experience that in their lungs. So we did a lot of work with sounds like a breath instrument of a flute or the bowl or Gloria's voice across the drum. And I think the result is learning what instruments work, what protocol works, and that it is an effective tool for pain reduction and reducing stress and anxiety.
It was such an amazing experience. I would have people tone with me. I mean, toning too. I would always bring in the toning and the drum and the bowls, but it'd be great to see people across the screen just toning with me or singing with me or going back or falling asleep. There was a couple of those just out.
And I think the heart of service that we volunteered with this project was such an important part of it. People were almost crying just at the fact that they don't know us, we don't know them. They just signed up online. We had people from 12 countries, over 170 people across that year, and people just felt so appreciative. I think songs are a medicine that you remember the words. There's a mnemonic. So when you sing, every little cell in my body is happy, every little cell in my body is well, something like that where people are smiling. So as a percussionist, you know, doing drum circles and rhythm for healing, I was interested to know which drums would work.
Yeah.
It turned out that toning across a frame drum was very important for people. Using this by a buffalo drum, this heartbeat energy, really grounding people. I just would often play just that heartbeat and sometimes have them invite them to put their hand where their body was hurting and tap along. So we did involve engagement. First step of the protocol and the final step of the protocol was using this koshi chime, because a sound to begin and end marked the time.
Bookends.
It bookended it. We would just do an invocation, relax, breathe, put your hand where you feel healing today. And then we did an opening session around breath. So it might be a flute, it might have been a bowl. I just chose 3 instruments and did each of them for 8 to 10 minutes. What I discovered was the duration was important. It just didn't work to have 2 minutes of flute. You know, it had to be like, and I tended to stop after 5-6 minutes, so I would put a timer in front of me to remember to play that 8 minutes. And I would use my flute with a singing bowl, sometimes a Himalayan bowl. My second piece I would usually sing in the drum, and the third piece I would do something with a mantra or a lyric. And sometimes I would invite people to participate. So when people had long haul and they were really exhausted and lost their energy, I would play a djembe and get a beat going and just say tap, or one woman stood up and started dancing in her apartment. Nice. So I think because people were in their home, they had that freedom to join us. But the word protocol simply means a series of repeatable steps. So we wanted it to be loose enough that we could each bring in our gifts, but replicatable enough that we could study this approach. It felt like this whole quality of compassion and gratitude. When you help people that are really suffering, you look at your life and you just go, what have I got to complain about? And that, I think my friends told me that was my inoculation. I didn't get COVID during that whole year because they said, your vaccine is helping others. Having it documented is really important and published in Music and Medicine. April Journal is really important because it does lay a groundwork for future use of this design. And I hope that someday we can see an online free sound clinic where people can come and people can practice their skills. And I think that there's continues to be more and more problems, very treatable problems in the world that are not things that doctors might, show up for, but it might be something like having to pack and move in a war zone, or it might be climate war, disasters, like I worked in Hurricane Katrina. So I think it lays a groundwork. You always have to establish a baseline. And I could see ways we could improve upon this study. It'd be great to replicate it with another population. And I do hope that it becomes a way that people can practice their skills in this 30-minute design. It was for me that way. It was both professional in my sound skills. It grew me a lot. And then it also really grew my heart of compassion for others. And I think that's something that comes in our work, but differently in this design because we didn't know people. There was no financial exchange, and it was just open the screen and help someone. Right. And I think that's how the world I want to live in. The future, I think that being able to show that lasting effect was a very important aspect of the study, because we always want to know. So you feel good for the 30 minutes, now what? But people had shifts with this tool. One woman who had burnout as a professor, a college professor at Naropa University, told me that after the experience, she saw you online, and she said after the experience, she took care of herself better. She realized she hadn't been taking time to breathe. She hadn't been relaxing. She was a person who was frontline helping others, and those people got a lot of burnout. Yeah. So I think that it has that potential to have lasting breakthrough effects, like not because we said something to people, but because they felt it in their own direct experience through the sound, through the music,
through the frequency, which we all are, right? I mean, it was one frequency talking to another frequency without words.
I hope this video has been inspiring and demonstrated that sound healing is effective for everyone. I've included links to the article and study published by the International Association of Medicine in the description below this video. Thank you.